Right now?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Joanne Greenlee. I'm the mental health navigator for the School District of Marshfield, and it is the School District of Marshfield, Everett Public Library, and Macy, which is Marshfield Area Coalition for Youth, who are sponsoring this event and the monthly events that we've been having, the Let's Keep Talking events. Welcome. Today we are talking about vaping prevention and early intervention, and we have the Patch team from Wood County Health Department, and I'll let them introduce themselves. Thank you.
Vaping intervention and
Prevention.
yes.
You know what I might do for you girls? Would you like to do your own slides?
Sure.
I'll turn it and then you guys can do your own slides. You're not on camera.
Okay. So what is Patch? We're providers for teens and youth, communicating their health and education so that you know your rights as an individual coming up to be an adult.
So my name is Neve. I'm a senior at Lincoln High School in Rapids.
I'm Jocelyn, and I went to River Cities Academy, and I graduated a few weeks ago.
My name is Madison. I'm a junior at Lincoln.
And what is vaping and why is it harmful? Well, we have a list of pictures here to show you what type of vapes are out there. We've got, of course, the e-cigarette, and then these ones are quite newer. They come out in vape stores, so you can buy these type of things to put in there, which are called pods. Same with this one, and it's chargeable. These ones would come with just a normal Android charger that you buy with your phone, so very accessible. And this one, it would come with a certain charger you fill up right here. These ones are the ones that are very explosive, very dangerous. This one as well, and it has a wattage. And then those ones come with cartridges for using other things for other than nicotine.
So, like a vape defined is a small device, and they have batteries and a heating element, and then there's that liquid in there, that like juice and stuff. And they produce an aerosol that contains nicotine, and it can be used with marijuana and other drugs also. It's harmful because they contain nicotine, and nicotine is addictive. It's unsafe for kids, teens, and young adults. They contain many other harmful substances like metals, and they're more likely to smoke cigarettes in the future when you vape.
Yes, it's very false that it's not going to help you stop. Vaping can't cause cancer. That's very false. It's not even a question. It's wrong. And there's other ingredients besides nicotine, like
Propylene glycol.
just like that, flavors of lots of different chemicals. And like we hear about, food coloring and all of that stuff. So just think about that and all those artificial chemicals in that nicotine that you are constantly smoking and very highly addictive.
The flavorings that what make up the flavorings in the vape is called diacetyl. It's linked to what a lot of people know as popcorn lung. So there's volatile organic compounds like benzene, which is found in your car exhaust.
So let's just smoke car exhaust.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I don't really want to do that. Nickel, tin, and lead are also found in those, and they can damage cells, which can lead to cancer. So
not curable. And then popcorn lungs, and
you don't gotta say that.
yeah, I'm not saying it. Scarring of tiny tissue. So the popcorn lungs obviously gives off the look, and it's also not just the look of popcorn lungs that created that saying.
Mm-hmm.
In a factory, there was a lot of those chemicals found in nicotine that was actually being used to make popcorn. Mm-hmm. So all of the factory workers in the factory making popcorn got sick, and very, very sick. So that's where popcorn lungs came from. And about 92% of e-cigarette juices contain diacetyl or similar compounds that can cause this.
Mm-hmm. And it's really big emphasis that there is no cure or treatment for this. So once you have it, you have it. And you're going to get super sick and it's not going to be
It's like
awesome. Mm-hmm.
Vaping is safer than smoking cigarettes. That is false. Nicotine is very highly addictive. You're 7 times more likely to start using cigarettes when you vape than those who don't. When you smoke anything, vaping, cigarettes, you're very likely to get lung disease and cancers. Almost half the people who smoke for 25 years have serious lung problems. If you start at 13, you're more than likely to get cancer, at least by 38.
Personally speaking, my dad smoked and stuff when he was a kid, like in high school, like that was just a thing to do. Now he's 45 and he recently just had a heart attack, and they linked it to that super heavy, use when he was young. So he's been in the hospital for a couple days, and he's got like a stent and stuff in there, and it was a main blockage to the main artery of his heart. So don't smoke. And
This joke is just another thing to point out. Those light cigarettes have given you light cancer. What are we going to do? Doctor's confused. Jaw dropped.
Mhm.
And also, I do just want to point out for the parents, this is very significant for us, right? We got to think about that age, 13 to 38. That is not a lot of time. And that's for your whole child's adulthood of reaching everything and like learning everything that they can. Whereas if for a child dealing with mental health, depression, anxiety, they may think that that number does not matter, that this coping mechanism is way more important. So just try to provide and be patient to your teens, and if they are dealing with that, any of those lists, mental health, addiction, anything.
It's a very impressionable age because that's like end of middle school. So going through all those changes. So
Yes,
you're
it's very true that 13 is one of the most likely ages to start with mental health. Injuries and details. Vaping can cause explosive, severe burns. One man in Florida was actually hitting a vape like this. This is the battery. This is the outside of it, held the battery, and this exploded. All these pieces missing went into his face while he was just hitting it. It wasn't charging. It wasn't anything like that. It's just that battery malfunctioned, and boom, his entire house on fire, his face included. A toddler drank vape juice and then, died. It smelled really good, she claimed beforehand, and she didn't make it. Thousands of poison control center calls a year, all the time. It's very dangerous for babies, pets, and just any person that would think, oh yeah, I want to smell this, taste it, whatever. It's very attracting and appealing to them. So just try to keep it out of their reach, and it's very dangerous if it is in anybody's reach.
And I know that at our middle school in Rapids, a couple of years back, I was in, I think, 6th or 7th grade. Someone had like a tank or whatever in their shoe, and it exploded, and he had to be rushed to the hospital, and he had like 3rd-degree burns up his leg, and it was terrible. It was awful.
And that was right in science class. I remember that too. I was in school for that. And that was the previous picture of the slide of the boxer one with the wadding, and that battery got too hot, and boom, you heard it too. All the risk for vaping in youth, nicotine addiction. We've got more than flavored sticks. Think before you pick, because addiction, asthma attacks, coughing, popcorn lungs, kicked off the team, anxiety, nausea, chronic
Obstructive pulmonary disorder.
Yep, heart attacks, lung injury, shortness of breath, and mood disorders, and heart, whatever that is. Yep. And just, I want to most definitely emphasize on the mood disorders because of nicotine. It is proven all the time in ads, everything like that. It's such that it affects youth and their mental health way deeper than they could ever imagine.
And then I want to mention that one of our other members from our group made this graphic she couldn't be here tonight because she was
Yes.
busy, but
She did a beautiful job.
we actually brainstormed a lot of these ideas in one of our meetings, and we kind of came up with things that we saw at school or that we've noticed with like our friends and whatnot.
Yes, did our own research on all of this to figure out everything. We got resources from Lincoln off of the vape detectors you'll see coming up. Everything we did all on our own income and databases on our own time.
So at Lincoln, or in the county, there was a survey in 2021 for risky youth behaviors. So 28% of students have tried vaping in Wood County, which we want to emphasize that because that was a couple years ago, the numbers are obviously higher now. And
Increasing, rising all the time.
because they're youth, I don't know about you, but I'm not that honest about certain things. So that's only 28% of reported cases.
Yes. Imagine the kids that go to school and their parents get them this stuff and they're totally okay with it. They're not going to be honest about it. They're not going to say, oh yeah, I openly vape.
And then 14% of students have used vape products in the last 30 days, which I'm going to guess that number was higher even in 2021, but it's definitely rising now.
If you give me 1 second, I'm gonna pull up the Marshfield 2023 data,
Oh.
because I have it.
Oh,
So
all right, sounds good.
Wow.
So you have the most up-to-date information. So,
Yes.
so luckily, and I'm just gonna give you all the tobacco use data, and I have 2019, 21, and 23 comparison. So ever tried cigarettes is going down. It used to be 18%, then it was 15 and 15. So cigarette use is going down. Ever tried
good.
cigarettes? Ever tried any vaping? Is sitting at the last 2 years has been about 27%. So Marshfield, this is just Marshfield School District. So 28% is about where Wood County is. So it's about the same as Wood County is. And then, so that's ever tried. And then vaping in the last 30 days, right now we're sitting also at 14%. It was 13% last year.
Oh,
And-
nice.
Or in 21. It was 18% in 2019. So it's gone down a little bit. I will tell you, I work with teens just like you guys, and just exactly what you said, which is this is self-reported data. And
And it just doesn't
they
sound accurate.
indicate that this number is clearly higher in their minds than what was reported. in
Yeah,
the
you go
Yeah.
outside and you see vaping everywhere. You can't even go to a public event anymore without seeing cloud smoke.
The other thing that has been on the rise in 2019 is 23%, and in 2023 it was 31%, which is tried nicotine products before age 13.
Oh,
So it's that starting early, which is obviously
Yeah.
a concern and why we're talking about prevention. Sorry, ladies. I just-
oh
No, you're
no,
good. That was great.
That was very insightful.
And then we want to just move into the vaping myths. Nicotine is just like caffeine. That is not true. Caffeine is another addictive thing, but it just gives you some headaches when you don't have it or want it. Vaping is healthier than smoking cigarettes. Not true. Both of them are just not healthy. You just shouldn't do it. One of them puts tar, other puts in metals, and they still break your lungs because your lungs are trying to heal every time after the puff. Facts, the chemical in vape juice are linked to cancers, asthma, wheezing, and shortness of breath. Walk up the stairs, you're going to hear yourself. It's not pretty. Miss, if I vape, I want to smoke cigarettes. Fact. 8th graders who vape are 10 times more likely to eventually smoke cigarettes. So, no good.
Here's some more myths. Vaping doesn't hurt the people around me. That's not true. It does. When you vape, you inhale aerosol into your lungs. Bystanders breathe in this when they're near you, which is bad for them as it is bad for you. Another one is that e-cigarettes just produce a harmless water vapor. That is completely untrue. Vaping exposes you to diacetyl, a chemical linked to serious lung disease.
And with this one, the secondhand smoke, it's just as bad as like from a cigarette. even worse because of those metals and stuff in there also. So
And then this is just a quick demonstration of vape detectors. This is not what they all look like, but this is the new things that we got at Lincoln. I don't know if Marshfield Schooling has vape detectors yet, but Lincoln does.
these are
And this is some
statistics.
databases that we got from Lincoln. Vape particles, they detect the vape particles in the air. It sends a message to the principal's phone. They look at the cameras to identify who was into the bathroom and who was going out at those times. So then they can try to narrow it down and then, proceed through with a search to get that off of them. In the first week in the use of the detectors, 90 hits was detected in 1 week with the first week of them being in there. With one weekend sporting event, there was about 60 hits, which included adults and teenagers. And that's just in the bathrooms. Imagine outside, because it was a weekend sporting event. And just for the adults and parents in here that, maybe want to, if you know that your kid is, dealing with an addiction with nicotine, they do make mouth swabs and urine samples for nicotine. I do just want to point out there that if your teen and you do have a very good relationship, I would just try to maintain that very good relationship and be patient with them and tell them and walk through the process on why you are doing this, and you just want them to be safe and know that you don't need this in their life. To be happy, it's just going to make you sad because you got to worry about your next fiend. You got to worry about the money. You got to worry about who's going to get it for you, especially if parents don't accept it. So just try to put that in the back of their heads. It's harder for you to get it, and it's better for you to just live present.
And I will say, there's no cameras in the bathrooms at Lincoln.
No,
It's just seeing who goes in and who goes out.
Yes.
So, does the school use any of the urine tests or mouth swabs?
Nope, I don't believe so.
It depends. If you're in a sport, sometimes
Oh,
they'll
yeah.
spontaneously urine test you. Only if they have probable cause, though.
Sure.
They're not just going to be like, oh, our monthly urine test. If they notice that the team is slacking, they'll be like, oh,
We'll try to
maybe
do
it's
something.
drugs. So they'll test it. But I know that in some sports, they test more for steroids than
Right, so they're
nicotine.
not doing tests for the nicotine necessarily.
No, this
No.
is more so for parents to buy off of the local pharmacy or Amazon. You can buy them.
Yeah, just like a little guide so that you don't have to install a vape detector in your bathroom.
And then these are some strategies to help make your best decision. Ask questions. Just try to be patient with them. The questions you could ask are you struggling with any mental health? What can I do to help you? What is the next step? What is our step right now? Would it make you mad if I completely took you off and made you cold turkey? Is there something that I can do? Get you some gum, get anything for you to help it make it easier. Just help remove that temptation. It is hard to if you do have a real sneaky one and they keep bringing it back into their house and not their house, your house. Make sure that they know that it is your house and that you don't allow this there. And if it does come down to it, make sure you remove and go in their stuff if it takes it. If you just they repeatedly are not trying to break this addiction, because it is an addiction. Encourage them to have a plan. Point them right to the direction of all the stuff that they can do to just enjoy life now and be present, because I promise you life's really beautiful. Point them towards more help and just be supportive. Always be supportive. It's hard and it's real hard to be patient sometimes too, but just do it.
And it's just about encouraging open conversations, and you want to be able to have that relationship where you can talk about that. I know me and my mom personally, we are very open with each other, and I have no problem having tough conversations with my mom. And I really tend to take that for granted sometimes, but I think the whole being patient and being supportive is the key to this and to helping them make a good decision for themselves. Because you can ask over and over, why are you vaping? Why haven't you quit? Yada, yada, yada. But you have to want them to want help so that you can like get in there and make them quit, I guess.
Yeah, talking to them and just having them open up in a different way just always makes a huge difference.
So one of the flyers that are back here is called Small Talks. Small Talks is a Department of Human Services, or it's a state program that's primarily focused on alcohol. That's the focus of it. But it gives a lot of really good tips about how to have small talks with your children about any kind of substance use. This falls right under that. So some of those same tips about not necessarily having a one and done big conversation, but lots of little small talks that build that support. So there's a flyer back there, and if you go to their website, there's lots of other parent information that you can have. The other thing I want to say about this and sort of the content of the talks, when we do a diversion program at Marshall High School called In Depth, which is an American Lung Association education program having to do with vaping. And part of that program is to get teens to look at their own use and sort of identify why they're using. These ladies have alluded to it a couple different times. Sometimes it's a coping skill related to stress reduction, because kids really believe that
It's the stimulus of the sucking.
Yeah.
So when you were a baby, you had a pacifier, you had a nipple, you had the bottle, you had your thumb, you had your binky to suck on, even your blanket, everything else in the third. Well, now that you're older, that's why scream therapy even is a thing. That's why sucking on candy is a thing, as it's a therapy, because it's a nerve stimulating thing just for healing. It's a whole healing mechanism in your body. And that constant sucking of all that chemical is not only just addicting, but it's also very nerve stimulating. And that's the trick to your body, where the nicotine is no good for you and it throws your anxiety and your mood off. Whereas if the sucking of the nerve stimulating is very beneficial to you, but it's not at all.
Right, so exploring with your teen why they're using. Is it social? Is it a coping mechanism? Is it this soothing thing that you're talking about? Is it they do it out of habit? So there's lots of different reasons that people do things, and exploring some of that is really important so that your team can recognize why, because you can't do problem solving unless you understand what is this doing for your team? What is the thing what's it helping? You know, if it's social status, that's a whole different problem solving than if it's to reduce anxiety. Even though nicotine has been shown that it does not reduce anxiety, it reduces anxiety for the first little bit and then it increases anxiety. So part of this talking to your kids and being supportive is trying to understand the why behind things, so that then you can do appropriate problem solving.
I'm using, and how can I quit? we have no great way to help kids stop nicotine. Adults have gum patches, medicines, none of those are approved for kids. So very slowly decrease use. If vaping 5 times a day, decrease it to 4 times for several days, then accept. And I also want to just point out there that, again, if your kid is addicted to vaping and they tell you, well, haha, joke's on you, mom, I've been vaping for a year and a half now. And then you're just flabbergasted, right? Well, you could tell them, okay, I'm going to cut you down. I'm going to cut you. They make, with the previous slide in the beginning, there, when the picture was right here to show you the examples, that those pod ones, they make different levels of the nicotine juice. So they've got 2.3 all the way up to 5% with the nicotine. So you can cut them down and make them feel like they're just smoking on air compared to what they normally have of nicotine. And then it makes them want to stop, and or just even getting actual mint flavored gum, anything like that, flavored gum, juicy fruit, all that stuff, it'll stimulate the same type of flavoring for them. So that's proven to help. Because yes, all these things are approved for adults, but it doesn't necessarily say that you can't do it.
I wouldn't recommend giving your kid like
Unless
nicotine gum or
doctor,
nicotine
unless
patches.
you literally include
unless-
the doctor.
Yeah, unless they're like medically supervised at all times.
The other flyer back there is some American Lung Association programs for cessation for quitting, and it's not just for teens, it's for adults too. Obviously, some of them cost some money, but they have now made some of them online. As the ladies said, it's really hard, especially if somebody's not motivated to quit. It's really
Very
hard for somebody to
willpower.
quit. And so you want to move the motivation to that and the easier that you make it. And we're sort of talking a little bit about harm reduction, which is, using nicotine gum and patches. And I would totally agree that has to be really doctor monitored if you're going to try any of those things.
Yes.
And hopefully some information about that withdrawal from the nicotine
Yeah.
is difficult, but it's not super long lasting. Like that withdrawal will disappear. So
Within
those negative
72 hours.
impacts, can get better over time. And so your brain chemistry, which the nicotine messes with, it messes with your dopamine and other pleasure centers of your brain, move back to normal after you don't have use for a while.
Right, and your lungs start to heal themselves because it is proven that after every single hit, your lungs try to go back to normal. So after time, your lungs can get better if you are not past the point of popcorn lungs already.
The in-depth program talks also about having what they call a quit kit, which is mint and gums, as the ladies sort of mentioned. What are some things that a kid can have with them so they have an urge to vape, especially at school? Because in-depth is not a cessation program, but it's a keep yourself out of trouble at school program, right? And so having mints or gum or fidgets or anything else that a teen might think could be helpful for them to stop from vaping in situations where they're not supposed to vape, or to help them reduce the amount that they're vaping in a particular amount of time.
Just stop.
And kids really can come up with some of those on their own and help them provide those for them to be helpful to them as well for that age.
Yes, and I do just want to point out there, like Sensies, there's a whole bunch of different types of Sensies out there. You can have your kids get a whole bunch of diffusers, wax warmers, all types of stuff, sprays, room sprays, and that can be a coping mechanism as well. Smells, fidgets, yes, those mints, everything like that, and you can always just go to your local store anywhere and get those. And I do just want to point out this joke. If smoking relaxes you, then don't quit. Being dead is very relaxing. So, yeah.
There is a new ad, I don't know if you've seen it on, I don't know if it's been on TV, I don't watch TV, I see it on my feed, my Facebook feed and my Instagram feed. And it is a teen who vapes, and the video is him talking about that vaping helps him with his anxiety, and then he goes back to the same place, it helps him with anxiety, goes back to the same place. And the whole point is it keeps you in a rut of anxiety. And it's pointing out to parents that even though kids are saying it helps with my mental health, it is causing more mental health problems because you're not developing appropriate skills, and again, nicotine hijacks the pleasure center, and so you're not able to process the right way.
Right, it's mainly just get out of your comfort zone. If you stay in that, right, you say using that one coping mechanism for the rest of your life, it's not gonna work. It's not. You have to try to do something new. You have to try to go on a new run. You have to try to go on a new hiking, whatever your coping mechanism is. You try new ones. That's very known. You find the right one until it works, and then you keep going. But staying in the same thing, talking about this helps my anxiety, well, it's kind of just a big old loop, like she said. So it just doesn't make sense.
These are just some local and national resources. The Truth website, I know that they have a lot of really creative ads out there, like the one where the vape is like a USB. That scared me.
Yeah.
Some national helplines, Wisconsin Tobacco, you can quit. And then this Wisconsin Wins, they do compliance checks, which I actually got to go on one. That's my second year doing them. They're really fun. They're kind of scary, but we basically we actually did them here last year, where you go to like a gas station that's known to have like a couple, dings where they sell to underage people. So we go in, we're given like money from the department, I think. And then we go in, we say, hey, can I get a menthol jewel? And they're like, can I see your ID? And then if we can like say, oh no, I don't have my ID on me, but we have to leave it in the car. And then if they fail, we report it, and then they get a citation. So it's actually really helpful for the community. We did them in Rapids a couple weeks or months ago, and I really like doing them. You don't get paid, but it's fun.
And we just wanted to put this in there as a slide to do our own research and figure out the best type of websites out there for you as adults to give to your kids. While you're going to bed, you can give this to your kid and say, if you're, got a problem child that wants to run away while you're asleep, and just to go out and find a friend with some nicotine to help, go with their addiction, whatever, going to go smoke, whatever they're doing, you can tell them to contact this in these numbers so that they aren't so as likely to act on that urge of rebelliousness and addiction.
And feel free to take a picture if you want to too. I'll
Yeah.
move if you just let me know.
If my face is in it, I'll smile.
All right.
And then we just wanted to know any questions on parents. Anything?
I have a question. When these devices explode,
Mm-hmm.
why do they not need recall?
Well,
So, with the recall on those devices, it takes a few more things because with that device, with the Florida guy, it could have been anything that he had done, got water in it, anything like that. Yeah, so they think about all of that, the stuff that you do at home with it. Whereas when they sold it, they believe they sold it up to the standards of the FDA. So it takes a lot of
It's got banned from airplanes for.
Yup,
I don't
like,
think-
you have
I don't
to-
think that ban is
there's-
currently in use because of, you can hide the vape so easily. and
Yes.
anything.
It's more so about the chemicals. The ones that are being taken away now are with the chemicals that are too addictive and very, very bad for you. Like Elf bars were one of them that were just taken away. And I think there's only like 10 more flavors out there of Elf bars. So they're trying, but it's kind of a long process. I don't know why it takes them so long to get rid of these things.
and you also
Well,
have
it's a
to.
money-making
It's a
industry.
money-making
Yeah,
industry.
for real.
That's what it is. It's like what we,
What are all
They don't
the
want
shops
to.
gonna do if it's
They
not
don't
in
want
here?
to because they know people want
There's money to be made.
And it's also they won't
It is.
recall it
It's a
because they
big
don't
game to them.
they don't care about they don't care if it explodes. You bought it already. You'll just buy another one if you live, I guess. But they don't recall it because they really don't care if it explodes in your face or not. So
And
So
those
one of the
ones that are
other
just very
dangers-
bad for you with the dang near juice in it. They
One of
don't.
the other dangers is that vapes are not regulated. And so
Yeah, they've been
it
around
may
for so short.
say there's whatever amount of nicotine in, and that may be a guideline, but there's nobody who's accounting for how much there is. So there are some vapes that say it's nicotine free, and those are not nicotine free, even when they say they're nicotine free. And so you have to be really careful with those kinds of things. The other big danger is
We just
those
shouldn't be
vapes
smoking
contain so much nicotine compared to regular cigarettes that kids really are ingesting and having a lot more nicotine than somebody who traditionally smoked a regular cigarette because they're doing so much more than nicotine in your vape are. So that makes vaping significantly more dangerous in some ways than cigarettes, even though there's not the tar or the smell or the same kind of smoke. It's just different. I used to show a video and it said, it took however many thousands of years to figure out that smoking cigarettes was bad for you. Because smoking has been around for a really long time. And vaping really is relatively new. It really started in 2012.
So they have no
We're talking
idea
about
the long
not
lasting
a very
effects
long
on
amount
this.
of time.
They
We
don't.
don't know, right? We don't know the long lasting effects. And the stuff that the ladies presented today are things we already know. Imagine what we're going to know 50 years from now.
Yes, exactly. And not even 50. Let's shoot for 25. Yeah.
And we're going to know a lot more.
And you have to be 18 to vape?
21.
It is in the state of Wisconsin, 18. Owner's choice to sell. It is.
It's 21 because nicotine. is
Rapid
18.
Smoke Shop, they sell 18.
Oh,
But they're not.
It may be.
They sell.
It could
by
be county by county, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
21.
Or town by town. That is one thing. There's not consistent regulation
Is the
in
age.
government
Yeah.
agencies having to do with that, nor is there.
Because I've had
consistent
owners straight up
compliance
tell me to my face
in
it's owner's
terms of,
choice.
are
So I
they-
don't know.
Is anybody looking at it anyway? So you can have whatever law, if nobody enforces the law, then it doesn't matter what the law is. And so there's irregular enforcement as well as irregular laws having to do with vaping.
And is there a fine if you're underage? Is that?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
fines.
there's fines
stuff.
for either adult or the underage person.
There's consequences, there's community consequences and there's usually school consequences. And if you're in athletics or activities, then there's consequences related to that as well.
and that's where that getting kicked off the team comes into play, where you can get caught with any drug and vaping included, and just immediately you're off. So with you could use that to help them to quit. You could set a goal to be hey, so I know that you can't get back on the team this season, but why don't we get outside more and practice so you can work up to getting back on the team, to kind of ease their minds off of vaping and more onto something that they genuinely liked.
And most of the consequences are not off the team forever. It's a certain number of suspensions, suspended games depending on the violation. And one of the things I want to point out, because this is a point for parents to be thinking about, is in the youth risk behavior survey, they also ask questions about belonging and participation in school. And all of those are considered protective factors, meaning kids who feel more like they belong in school and who have adults that they can go to and who participate in school activities have less substance use, including less vaping use. So the more we can get kids to be engaged in a positive way, the less likely they are to be participating in more risky behaviors. And that's all substances, but vaping is included.
Any other questions?
Let's say, how do you dispose of a vape?
Due to the battery, honestly, nobody should be throwing their vape in the garbage.
But that's what's happening.
Yes, every single vape ends on the road or the garbage, the public household garbage. But due to the actual battery, you should dispose of them like it's a battery.
And the trouble, of course, is they don't look like anything that we would recognize as a smoking kind of thing. So you could look at it, and I've seen vapes, and I would have thought it was something kind of a computer. They look very much like computer things.
This charger port right here, that looks like flash drive. That's this right here, this jewel was one of the first things to come out. And so many parents were totally confused because this right here, this even has flash drive little cap to pull off right there. And that looks like flash drive. This looks definitely like a flash drive. And then this entire piece looks like flash drive, just a long one. And you could literally mistake that. You could totally mistake this. I know so many parents that have literally mistaken this. And I know so much about vaping because actually my I was vaping, actually, my brothers, they were vaping, and then I thought it was super cool. So I started to vape. And I was sneaky. I wasn't even telling my brothers. I was sneaking their stuff. I was, doing everything. My mom found out. My brothers found out. They smashed my stuff. And they were kind of blunt about it, But at the end of it, my mom was there for me. She had boundaries. She had balance in her parenting. And she supported me. She wanted me to know that this is not the way of life and that you are better than that. 100%. So all of this, my mom walked right past. And I know that for a fact. I can tell you that. I can laugh about it too. So watch out.
Today we happened to do a focus group in some of our classes at the high school, primarily having to do with substance use, but part of it was about nicotine and asking questions like, where are kids vaping? Where are they getting it? Those kinds of things. And the answers are really interesting. Most kids are like,
Snapchat.
they're vaping anywhere that they want to vape. Because they put it in their sleeves, in their hoodies. It's really, vaping materials are really, 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 really easy to hide.
I can
Except for when you
go
blow it
to
out.
a friend's
Adults
house.
don't
They have an
normally
older
see
brother
that.
there. He's fine with buying me it. There's
Right, and
there's
that's
my supply.
that's where they mostly get them, is from people that they know who vape, and that the kids talked about that kids just share the stuff, and so it's exchanged easily at school.
Very.
And that's a COVID risk too.
And then
Ew, yeah, very.
bathrooms, I'm guessing that's
We got
a big place.
All the safety concerns as well with exchanging stuff with your mouth.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion.
Saliva gets on the top where you hold your mouth there for 5 seconds. 7 seconds. You're hitting this device, and say you got some wet, sloppy lips.
So we
Here we
did
go.
In Plain Sight a couple months ago, which some of you came to, some of you didn't, but it was, the video is on, no, it's not in the library because we didn't take that one. But if your school district of Marshfield parents, there's a student services newsletter that goes out once a month. And they're archived on the district website under student services stuff. You can find it in the one that's on vaping has a link to that presentation that they did in Auburndale. So it's an Auburndale presentation, but it's the same presentation about where can you find things in your kids' room where they might be hiding things just in plain sight. Because that's, the kids said very clearly, they're not,
We
they
know
don't have to try
you're
very
adults.
hard to hide things, they're
Right.
just able to hide things.
We know in our kid minds, we know you were kids, but you're now adults. We know that. So we think about that and we think we're a newer generation and things have come so far. We know you don't even know about our iPhones. What do you think we think we are capable of?
I also think that with everything looking like a USB, it's also really important to have that trust with your kids and to be able to have a conversation and to not just automatically assume that every charger, every USB is a vape or a vape
Yes.
charger.
Because I know with public schools, it doesn't even matter. Your kid could get around with the wrong friend and now they've got this situation on their hands and they just want to tell you. So they come up to you and they just don't want you to get mad. They did this experiment. They tried mushrooms. They tried marijuana. They tried nicotine. Just make it okay to talk to you about it because it's hard.
I'm so glad you said that. One of the things that in the Youth Risk Behavior Survey, one of the questions, and for the last several years, the numbers have been horrible, which is they ask the question, how often do you go to an adult when you need help?
Yeah.
And our numbers are, they're under 30%. So 30% of kids say they will go to an adult for help. And so that's actually, it's the reason why this is happening. So we're trying to, because when we did a focus group on that, the kids very clearly said, it's not because we don't know how to get help. It's not like we don't have adults that we love and trust, but the adults freak out.
Yeah.
The
We're
adults have
scared
really bad
of your
reactions,
reaction.
and so we don't want to go to them because of their reactions. And so this education kind of program, this caregiver series really is to address and give parents information so that when kids come to them with stuff,
Right. I
they
can tell you,
listen and support.
if I were to get peer pressured into trying a drug that I didn't like, and then I sat there and I did it, and then I had a bad experience, very bad experience, I'm gonna want to go home and cry to my mom.
Mhm.
I'm gonna. But is my depression and anxiety gonna stop me? There's a chance. But if I feel like I'm okay enough to talk to my mom or my dad, my auntie, my uncle, whatever the case may be, where I'm living, I should feel open up and break down and cry to them and say, I will not do this again. I just need to talk to you. I feel like I'm maybe a different person even because this affected me. I shouldn't have felt like this. I was around people that I thought I trusted.
And everything starts at home. Like everything that we've learned starts at home, like how to color, how to be nice. It starts from watching our parents and how they love us and how, they talk to each other. So I think being able to have that communication with your kids is also really important. So
Now that we kind of put some drug topic in there, any questions off of that? Because we are totally a Wood County Health Department, so we know it all. We're not just here to talk about
Maybe not
vapes,
all of
we're here
it.
to talk about the parenting and everything. We got some time.
I'm just so proud of you ladies. You just make me cry because
Aw.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
To hear that perspective of a parent and just what you've gone through or what you haven't gone through and what you're sharing it. I'm just really proud of you three. Good
Thank
for
you.
you guys.
Thank
Keep
you.
it up.
We'll try.
It's the best to hear from out of the mouth of babes.
Yeah, I know. We hear it a lot that we're pretty mature for our age. And I think it's just because we've learned our facts, we've done our research, and then also we've had some of our own life experience. We've all gotten sad. We've all gotten depressed. We've all had temptations in our life with bad friend groups. We've all had an opportunity in our life to pick a bad path, but we choose not to. And so we chose to continue to tell our stories about that. When I know for sure when I got asked to join Patch, that's all I thought about, what you just said. And the fact that I'm mature enough to connect as a youth to my other youth, and then mature enough to connect on another level with adults.
And I also think that being a part of the team, because it's more than just us three with Patch.
There's all of us.
There's like 10 or 11, I think. 9.
Yes,
9.
we were off.
But
yeah, no, we're not good at that, right? I may have just graduated, but I never said I was good at that.
I think being able to like talk with each other too in a group with our coordinator too.
Yes, she's great. She's just sitting there, but she's getting a break right now because she does it all. She is great, and she's the one that created us all to be even doing this. She's the one that actually made this slideshow.
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta give a big shout out to Alyssa. And then I guess thank you all for coming, and I hope you learned some things about vaping preventions and interventions.
And how to help.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you bye.